Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are putting Winter Storm Catherine in the rear view mirror. We are looking ahead to the Texas snowstorm. Could see close to a half a foot in many larger population centers in parts of northwestern Texas. The big wild cards are from northeast Texas through northern Louisiana and central Mississippi, as well as parts of southern Arkansas with this storm system. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, and we're going to compare some models, our next round of model wars. I think that so far from the snow totals that we've gotten in from Winter Storm Catherine, the European model won model wars for this past storm. So now we got to look ahead and try and see what's going to go on with this storm system, because in the past certain model runs have taken this thing into the northeast. Now that hasn't happened in a couple of days, but it's still pretty close. It's always staying right out here, so we got to really check in on that as well. So if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Now let's get into those models. Let's compare the models and kind of go into a more in-depth look into the system with the information that we have right now. So the NAM model, we have, of course, Catherine moving off the coastline here. You can see that no real threats at this point, and you can see it actually starts to intensify as well. We have this snow in parts of Colorado and New Mexico. That moves into Texas. You can see potentially some heavy snow at times. No real low pressures. Really kind of weak right now, but still gets that Gulf moisture, and we start to see a low pressure start to form over here. It just doesn't come into fruition until we get into the Louisiana area for that snowfall. Still shows some pretty heavy snow into the higher pink colors of the snow there. That's pretty heavy. And then we start to move into Mississippi, where you can get some heavy snow there, but just not as heavy as in Louisiana and Texas. Now, as we move along here, you can see this storm weakens quickly now, and at the end of this model run, this is 84 hours from now, we have a very disorganized system, still pretty close to the northeast. If something wants to form over here, you can see that this is the area of lowest pressure right in here, and if there is the potential to have a low pressure form there, it might want to try and go up the coast, which we've seen in the past, and at that point you start to look at parts of New England for some serious snowfall. Now, if this doesn't want to form in the Atlantic Ocean, which makes sense, there's just been a storm that was strengthening out here a little bit, you know, right over here. So if it kind of just weakens and completely dissipates, then you're going to have no impacts on the northeast, except for a little bit of cold. Now, the GFS has taken a very minimal approach to this storm. You can see some heavier snow in Texas, but that kind of all weakens through Louisiana and Mississippi. You have that low pressure form off the coast of Louisiana as well, and then this takes that low pressure forming, it just forms a bit to the south, and you can see that that low pressure area on the NAM, it's up here. The low pressure forms on the very southern side of that and just decides to go straight out to the northeast, and that still brings in some cold air for the northeast, but no precipitation to match that. Maybe a little bit of a clipper system, but not that major nor'easter that we were thinking was going to happen. I think a lot of our storms here, according to the GFS, are going to be either little clipper systems in the northeast or southern snowstorms. That's at least been the trend from the GFS for the past little bit, but now let's move on to the European, alright? So, of course, we have Catherine moving off the coast, still has it strengthening, and you can see has this low pressure in Mexico, has some lighter precipitation in Texas, and has more of a mix. Now, usually with the European model, the mix is not as broad as it is here. It's just trying to decide and trying to make up its mind between rain and snow in those spots. and you can see a lot of that happens through Louisiana and Mississippi. And then the European has that low pressure forming, but it just, again, just tries to go out to the northeast. I think that the probability of having a nor'easter, it's still there. I put it at 25%, just based on the fact that this is going to be like, you know, at least a couple days out, and things could change. But right now, most signs are pointing toward this thing just being a fish storm once it leaves the south. But the European model really doesn't have much else forming, maybe a little bit of a clipper system here in the northeast. So let's look at these snow totals for this storm system. We're going to put all of these at 84. 84 model run, and we'll take a look at that. So let's take a look first at the NAM here, and let's go to total accumulated snowfall. You can see that the NAM has the highest snow totals actually in eastern Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. That is much different than other models and has a broad band of 6 to 12 here in that area. So overall, it seems like the NAM is going a little bit more bullish on the eastern part of the system and a little bit more on the bare side of the western side of the system, kind of taking off a few inches of snow there. With the GFS now, we can go down here and do that total accumulated snowfall here. Now, the GFS is a little different because it has this part of the storm, the western part of the storm, kind of being a little bit more serious here. You could see some areas with 6, 7. I think that is most likely at the moment. Things could change, and then it just completely doesn't do anything with the eastern part of the system. Now with the European doesn't have the total snowfall, so we're just going to use snow depth, and we're going to go to 84 hours here. You can see that it kind of mixes the two. Kind of simmers down on the GFS's part of the western part of the system, and then it kind of simmers down the NAM's eastern part of the system. So if I were to trust any model right now, I would trust the European model, just because it kind of balances everything out with this storm system. So that is all the information that we have right now for this Texas snowstorm. Make sure to click subscribe and click that notification bell so you get a notification when I upload more videos. Most of them over this weekend will be about this system. So definitely make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for those updates. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.